So I was 19 when I received my official diagnosis, but of course by then I'd been suffering in silence for years. Anorexia, bulimia, major depression, generalized anxiety disorder, obsessive compulsive disorder, suicidal ideation, and self-harm, which means there are scars on my body that I put there. In other words, broken. Every doctor I saw, every specialist I saw, all agreed I was broken, and I believed them. Because when a lot of very smart people, with a lot of very impressive degrees on the wall and letters after their name, tell you that you're broken, well, how long until you eventually believe them? And that became my story. We all have one, right? A story, that thing we tell ourselves, about ourselves, to ourselves. So what is your story? And what would happen if you knew that you could change it? In 1994, Dr. Masaru Emoto, a Japanese researcher and scientist, decided to study the effects of intention and thought on water. He took samples from the Fujiwara Dam and exposed it to different messages, different intentions, different thoughts. And this is what he found. When the water was exposed to positive messages, it became very organized, very structured, very beautiful. When the water was exposed to a message of thank you, that's what it looked like. And he took the water and he flash froze it and he put it under a microscope and he photographed it. And these are those photographs. That very same water, when exposed to the message of eternal. Very beautiful. And when he found that when he exposed it to negative messages, suddenly those beautiful patterns went away. Suddenly the water became very mottled and unorganized and quite ugly. Conservative estimates put the human body at about 60 to 80% water. So what would you look like if we put you under the microscope? The fact is, your thoughts matter. Your story matters. What you tell yourself about yourself to yourself matters. So what would you look like if we put you under the microscope? See, in the traditional medical model, mental health challenges are considered to be a hardware problem. If you imagine the human mind to be like a computer, which in a lot of ways it is, it's easy to see that we have hardware programs and we have software programs. Now the hardware programs, this is the stuff that we're made of. This is our tissues, our nerves, our cells, the very stuff that makes us us. But our software programs, these are things like our memories, our beliefs, our decisions, our attitudes and values, things that change over time. And this is what makes us us. So who are you? So I'm Jennifer Febel. I work one-on-one with people to help them with depression, anxiety, and trauma. I'm a master hypnotherapist. I'm a speaker. I'm an author. I'm a wife. I'm a mother to a very large crew of furry critters. I am a singer. I am a hula hoop dancer, fun fact. But surely I'm more than this, right? Surely if I took all that away, I'd still be me. So who are you? What is your story? So I want you to imagine for a moment that I'm Oprah. Wait, I can do that better, I'm Oprah! Or whatever. Don't tell her I said that, it's horrible. So I'm Oprah, and you're all at my favorite things show. Do you remember that show that she does where she like gives stuff away, right? And I'm giving away computers. So like, you get a computer, and you get a computer, and we all get computers, or however she does it. She's much more exciting than me. So you all have computers, okay? And I'm going to give you all the exact same computer. Same hardware, same capacity, same speed, everything exactly the same. Okay, now go away. Cool, now come back. It's a year later, you look fabulous, no one's aged a day, everyone's wonderful, and you all have your computers. What are the chances that any of them look anything alike? Right? If you're an accountant, you're going to be having accounting software on there, it's like QuickBooks or Excel or whatever accountants use. And if you're a graphic designer, you're going to have like Photoshop and InDesign or whatever they use. And if you're a grandmother or a cat lover, photos, just photos. Endless photos. Right? It's the software programs that make us who we are. So who are you? These things can change. They do change all the time. A simple decision, and like that, we can change. We can change the information coming into us as well. It's estimated that we are exposed to 20 million bits of information every single second. So we are energetic beings in an energetic universe, and energy streams into us through our 5 senses, and everything that we see, smell, taste, touch, and feel comes in the form of energy. 6 senses, if we want to get metaphysical, include the third eye, but we'll stick to like the physical realm for today. Right? 20 million bits of information every single second through all 5 of your senses. How many bits of information do you think your human neurology hardware programs can actually handle? 134 bits. That's how much you can be aware of at any given time. Think about this room for the moment, right? Right now, you're sitting there in your seats, you're listening to me talk, you're seeing my beautiful slides. But you might not be aware of the sensation of the back of your legs on the chair. Well, now you are, right? So where was that information a moment ago? You've been sitting there the whole time, those neurons have been firing, that information is coming in, but you're not really paying attention to it because it doesn't matter. It's not important. So it gets filtered out. Anything that you are aware of at any given moment, we call that things being processed by your conscious mind. And everything else is being processed by your unconscious mind. And at any moment, you can tune into it just like that, just by deciding to. In a room full of women, I like to do this one. Ready? Women, where are your bra straps? Oh, no, why did you do that? Gross, now I feel it. Right? That information, we block it out. We have something called neurological filters. And information that comes in 20 million bits every single second. And it gets filtered through our neurological filters, and we end up with our 134 bits. Which means you have 20 million opportunities to experience the world differently. If you don't like the 134 bits that you've chosen, we can change that. You can change your story. And what is your story? What do you tell yourself about yourself to yourself? And what would happen if you knew that you could change that? In Japan, there's a really beautiful art form known as kintsukuroi. And it's the art of repairing broken pottery with molten gold. Kintsukuroi actually translates to repair with gold. See, in Western society, when something no longer functions how it's supposed to, we deem it broken, unfixable, useless. We either try to put it back together and pretend nothing happened, or we discard it. But in Japan, they're smart. See, they see this broken pottery and they see beautiful. And so they put it back together with molten gold, highlighting the scars. And in so showing that this piece has its own beautiful and unique journey. And what's even more interesting is where it's been repaired with that gold, it's stronger than it was before. In the same way that a broken bone heals stronger and can never break in the same way again, these bowls have been broken and healed. So they're not whole anymore, but they're not broken. They are unbroken, which means stronger than before. Those of you who've been by my table know I'm giving out bracelets that say live life unbroken. This is not just my website. This is my mantra. This is my mission. It's tattooed on my foot. It is my reminder to myself that I share with others that no matter how many diagnoses you've been given, by some very important people with letters after their name. No one's ever broken. I stand before you today, I'm completely recovered. You'll notice I don't say in recovery, which is rare with eating disorders. We're not ever supposed to use the word recovered. I was told that I couldn't recover. I would learn to adapt, right? Because in the hardware version of mental health, it's like, well, you know what? Your computer came off the line. We forgot to weld something together. Sorry, you just kind of have a broken computer. We can't really fix it, but we can give you something to help alleviate the symptoms so that you forget for a few moments that you're broken. But in the software version, we can just uninstall those programs. I like to joke that I'm cognitive tech support. That's what I do. You come in, it's like sometimes your computer has a virus and you're like, I can, control alt delete that stuff and make it go away. And sometimes you're like, I need to call the Geek Squad. I'm the Geek Squad. I locate those programs and we uninstall them. And when they're uninstalled, there are no triggers in my world. I've spoken to addictions counselors and they're very concerned. We don't want to ask any questions that trigger you. You cannot trigger me because those programs are gone. I can talk about anything. Certain questions I'd be like, why do you want to know that? But it wouldn't bother me at all. So what is your story? That's amazing. I didn't expect an answer. Your story is how you define yourself, and it's your reality. And it's not the absolute reality. You have 20 million opportunities to experience the world differently. If you don't like the 134 that you've chosen, we can change that. So who's holding your pen? Are you reading your story, or are you writing your story? See, in life we have choices. See, we're a very physics-based world, right? There's cause and effect. That's basically how every law of physics operates. Sorry, I'm a bit of a nerd. I nerded out for a second there. I'll come back. So we have cause and effect. And in life we get to choose. We can either live at effect or at cause. Now, when I'm at cause, I have choice. When I'm at effect, life happens to me. People make me angry. My husband made me upset. My children make me guilty. You can always identify the people who are living at effect. They always seem to adopt this posture. Oh no, they made me angry. Do you know there's not a physiological mechanism by which someone else's words can actually cause you to feel anything without you being actively involved in that process? We don't have receptors on our body for someone else's word without us being involved in the process. Now, when we live at effect, the good news is that we have no responsibility. Nothing's ever our fault. The bad news is we have 0% power. Now, when we decide to live at cause, and it is a decision, we have to say, all right, look, I would not have chosen where I am. I would not have chosen for this to happen in my life. And wherever I am in my life is the sum total of my conscious and unconscious choices. How could it be anything but? And when I put myself in that place, when I'm willing to admit, okay, I wouldn't have chosen this, and it is the sum total of my conscious and unconscious choices, suddenly I get 100% power. The bad news is it comes with 100% responsibility. And when you own that, when you're willing to make that decision, you have 100% power. You're no longer just this rubber ducky of life floating on the vast ocean, going wherever the heck the waves take you. Suddenly you have a steering wheel. And I've always said, I always like to make a little disclaimer. Better medicated than dead. Medication saved my life. 100%. And I no longer take them and no longer need them. They're wonderful because they stop you from driving off the cliff. But you need to learn how to turn your car around and drive somewhere else. And to realize that there is a whole world behind you that is not that cliff. You have 20 million opportunities to experience the world differently. So who's holding your pen? Who's writing your story? Is it you? Or are you just reading and following along and floating wherever those waves take you? Decide you want it more than you are afraid of it. It's okay to be afraid of it. We like to think that, oh, I'm empowered, I should never have fear. Wrong. Be afraid, that's fine. But decide you want it more than you're afraid of it. That's where power comes from. That's the decision you make that takes you from effect to cause. That's the decision you make to start changing your 134 bits. And when you do that, you can experience a completely different reality. So I want to teach you a technique really quickly because I can see the clock like winding down. It's all good, we're good. So who here would like to learn a way to get out of negative emotions, out of overwhelm, without a yoga mat, and in 30 seconds or less? Right? No one, okay, I'll read that. I want to teach you something called learning state. Now it's called learning state because when we teach this to kids, without doing anything else, they'll go up an entire grade point increase. We know that in psychology, learning is state dependent. So whatever state you're in when you learn something, if you want to recall it, go back into that state. But we tend not to know what state we're in because it just kind of happens, right? So it's called learning state because it gets you to control your state. What's magical about this place is, one, you cannot feel negative emotions in this state. It is neurologically impossible. It immediately gets you out of overwhelm, and you can do it anywhere, anytime, ever. So, if you're holding anything, I want you to put it down on the ground for just a moment, or off on the chair. I'm going to have you keep your chin level, and I want you to turn your eyes up to the ceiling and find a spot you can look at comfortably. The operative word is comfortable. If you're attempting to look at the back of your own brain, bring your eyes down a little. Thank you for being overachievers. So you want to look up, find a spot, and I want you to take a deep breath in. And as you let that breath out, I want you to focus on the very, very center of your spot. I want you to get super focused on that spot. And taking another deep breath in. This time, as you let the breath out, I want you to keep your eyes on your spot and notice that without doing anything at all, your awareness can begin to shift into your peripheral vision. And keeping your eyes on your spot, I want you to explore that space all the way to the left and all the way to the right, keeping your eyes on your spot. And you'll notice at a certain point, you're going to reach the very edge of your awareness. And when that happens, I want you to imagine that you can wrap that awareness all the way behind you. I want you to imagine that you can feel that space of the room behind you, that you can hear everything and see everything behind you. And then I want you to actually just lock that in behind you. You know how like Tupperware makes that lock sound? Just lock it in behind you. And when you've done that, you can bring your eyes back down. And just take a moment to notice what's different. Maybe the room feels a little bigger. Maybe it seems a little brighter. Or sounds just seem a little sharper or faded into the background. Come to this space anytime you need to. And the reason you cannot feel negative emotions in this space, ladies, what do we do when we don't want to cry? Now this is just to make sure your makeup doesn't run. Just for that reason. But eyes up, you cannot access emotions when your eyes are up. It is neurologically impossible. So you put your eyes up, you expand your awareness. I'm going to use the T word. I promise you're going to be okay with it. This is mild trance. Oh no, she said the T word. Trance strictly means you're in a place where you're taking in more information, where you're now in control of the 134 bits that you are going to access. Anytime you're feeling that you're starting to go back into effect, you put yourself in learning state and you automatically jump back over to cause. And if you come by my booth and there's a little iPad there, you can give me your information. I will actually send you an MP3 file of me walking you through this process, as well as written PDF instructions for those who like it in front of them. Please share this with people. Please share it with everyone you know. If you're a teacher, bring it into your classrooms. Teach it to your kids. It's magical. I would love it if I were out somewhere and I saw someone's eyes go up. And by the way, one quick caveat, expect at least one other person to do this while you're doing it. What are you looking at? Inevitably, every single time. That's okay. Feel free to share it with them. This is the way to start taking your life back. Start putting the pen back in your hand. Start changing your story and transforming your life from the inside. Because that's where it begins. You can change your software programs. You can change your story and experience the entire new reality. You have 20 million opportunities to experience the world differently. If you don't like the 134 you've chosen, let's chat.